Hi, everyone. It's Annabelle from Fortune Cookies. Great to see you. Today's message is about something I think we really need to talk about, and it's ethics in tarot. This is something that I teach my students when I am teaching psychics or tarot readers or cartomancers. I'm not here to call anyone out or start any drama. This isn't about individuals. It's about a growing pattern that I am noticing online. And it's that the sacred art of tarot is being used in ways that just don't sit right with me spiritually. Now, I read on celebrities, I read on political figures and people in the public spectrum because that is an entertainment reading. There's a reduced expectation of privacy for them. But we're going to talk about what ethical readings look like and where those boundaries should be, in my opinion, for readers, querents, and for our community as a whole. So, tarot is powerful. It is a tool that connects us to our intuition, our higher guidance, and deep personal truths. It connects us to our gods and our spirit guides. But with that power and through that practice of that connection, there's a lot of responsibility. Every reading at its core is a conversation between energies, and consent does matter in this. When we read for someone who hasn't asked for a reading, especially when we post it publicly, it's not spiritual insight. It's not that gotcha moment. It's intrusion. And it is highway robbery or spiritual highway robbery. It's the energetic equivalent of walking into someone's house without knocking and then announcing to the neighborhood what we saw. It is really not okay. It's not tarot. It's gossip dressed up as guidance. And that's the kind of thing that damages the trust that makes this work meaningful. And it is something that damages the spiritual psychic industry as a whole. If you are working in a spiritual or psychic capacity, you totally understand. There's so many people out there that go, it's full of hooey. It's nothing. You're fleecing money. I've had people say it about me that I am fleecing people for money. And that assertion is so far from what I do as a psychic and as a guide for people. It really, I do this to help people. I do this to give people insight and an additional layer of consideration when they are struggling with things in their own worlds, in their personal lives. So let's talk a little bit about the gray area, because the context here does matter. When we read on public figures, and this is something that I do, I read on celebrities, I read on political leaders, historical personalities. I really enjoy that, especially dipping into the brains that are running the world and the historical figures that historically ran the world. And there's a shared understanding that they live their lives in the spotlight. So speculation about their motives, we see it on the news all the time with editorials, or their next move. It's part of a public discourse. This is a different forum for that public discourse. And the same way the media, the traditional media, analyzes choices, we can do that too in the psychic realm. My channel, the Psychic News Report, was one that attempted to do that. We will bring it back. I will bring it back because a lot of people love that channel. It just was a lot for me to juggle the two channels at the same time. But that's where entertainment readings really steps in. It's storytelling, it's symbolism, it's curiosity, but it's not intrusion. When we start to get out of those parameters, it does start to become very, very intrusive. When we step down a level to content creators like myself and some of my other friends, we share our lives, we share our opinions online. And with that, the boundary does shift. We are semi-public figures. We are putting ourselves out there. And to be sure, this is not easy. I've said it time and time again. Before I started my channel, there was a family discussion about how much we were going to reveal about our family. Greg, because of the nature of his work, Gregopedia, some of you know him as, we did have to, cross some T's and dot some I's about that. We had to be sure that we were doing the right things for his work. We have a reduced expectation of privacy because we've invited people into our private world. You do get to see some cool stuff. You see our cats, you see our dogs. You've heard the stories. We lost some kittens this year. There's been lots of stuff that goes on. And we do that because we are comfortable sharing that with you. We're still human. We still deserve the dignity of privacy around our personal lives and our families. Our grief, our children, our friendships. Some content creators may not want to put that out there. We in our house as a family discussed those things, what we were comfortable with and what we weren't. We saw the same thing with the Osbournes. The Osbournes, when they did their reality show, Amy Osbourne, the oldest of their children, Sharon and Ozzy's, the late great Ozzy Osbourne, they had discussed that with their children. And Amy opted not to be a part of that show because she wanted to endure on her musical career without the associations and without that leg up, that nepotism leg up. So everyday people who don't sign up for public scrutiny, we're going to call them private individuals. And this is where I felt this video was necessary. Reading on them, private individuals, people that are in the chat, people that maybe come up on panels, it is not divine insight to read on them without permission. It's exploitation, and it's terrible, and it needs to be addressed. And that's why I did this video. A big part of tarot ethics is the energy exchange. When we are reading on people, that's what we're doing. We're dipping into their energy. I do remote views in people's bodies all the time and take a look at their knee and take a look at their wrist or whatever we're doing. That is one of the things that I do. But when we do these, it doesn't always mean money. It can be gratitude, respect, mutual kindness. When I read for personal friends, I don't charge them. I tell them, if you feel like you want to send me a gift, go ahead. All of my closest friends know that if they ever need a reading from me, they can reach out. I will do one and I will go about my day. That is my gift. Also, I have a huge selection of readings. People that come to me for private readings, fantastic. If they're going to pay my regular price or a sale price, that's great. But 3 times a week, I also offer pay what you can reading. And I did that just in the last few months because so many people said to me, I'm just in a weird budget situation. I can't afford it. And I wanted to make my ability available to lots of people. And so that they can just pay whatever they can. It's kind of like the thing that I do for my friends. I have 3 of those a week that I do every week. That's out there and available. And this isn't an advertisement for that. I want you guys to know that. A reader, a real reader, someone who really understands what being a psychic and being a card reader is about. They know that energy should move freely. It shouldn't be coerced. It shouldn't be manipulated. We try very hard to keep our bias out of the situation. We don't use the cards to elevate our ego, gain attention, or punish someone we don't like, especially publicly. We are supposed to be using our abilities and the cards to illuminate, to help, and to heal. Help and heal are my 2 words that I use all the time. I want everyone to walk away from a reading with me feeling better, feeling like they have something different to look at, feeling like they have a different perspective. So tarot is a mirror. It's not a weapon, but just like a mirror, it reflects what we bring to it. So if a reader projects jealousy, resentment, or bias in their spreads, that's exactly what they're going to see. Their shadow becomes the message. And that's why professional readers train and practice to remain centered and neutral and unbiased. We're supposed to be compassionate and caring. This is a gift and a profession in which you can help people. But once you cross into personal attack territory, you're no longer reading cards. You're reading your own unresolved emotions. And that's not good. That's going to lower your vibration, and you're going to be working that karma out for a while. It's easy to forget that behind every name or profile picture, there's a real human being, a single dad doing his best, a widow trying to find her footing again, a new creator finding her voice. These people are not fair targets for psychic commentary. They're simply not. They're part of a shared community, and they deserve the same respect that we ask for ourselves. And the line between public figure and private citizen matters, and so does compassion. So when in doubt, choose kindness. And I know all of you out there in my community are super kind. You guys are really nice. I really want to stress that this is such a great and amazing community that we've built here. And I have so many students that are in the chats and in the comments and in the lives. And ethics, I want them to know, to help and to heal. It is in your grasp. It is in your ability to do that. So if you're learning tarot, this is a good takeaway for you guys. And I do a whole section on ethics when I teach tarot. Ethical readers build bridges. They don't create bonfires. Before posting a spread about a private citizen, ask yourself, did they consent to this? Is this constructive or just performative? Would I be comfortable if this reading were about me? Now, I know my students would never read on a private citizen publicly. True professionalism isn't about followers or flash, it's about integrity. And integrity doesn't shout, it shines. And I hope I'm shining in this video. Tarot should never be used to humiliate, expose, or manipulate anyone. It's sacred work, and sacred work requires sacred respect. So to everyone who loves this art as much as I do, keep your readings rooted in light, honor privacy, honor free will, and above all, honor the divine connection that makes tarot what it truly is, a conversation with spirit, not ego. Thanks for listening, and thanks for standing for integrity in the tarot community. I want you guys to stay kind, stay curious, stay connected to the light, and I'm going to see you all in the future. Bye, friends.